I've only been at Pierce College for 2 years now, and this event is quickly becoming my favorite because it gives us a chance to remember why we do what we do here in the community colleges. We get to hear about stories of perseverance and hear folks who recognize the power of education and recognized early on in their lives the power that it can make in their lives and the way they can help change their own lives and those surrounding in their own family, friends, and their community at large. So thank you for being here and helping us celebrate these great new distinguished alums that we'll welcome into our folds today. Tonight we highlight the power of two forces coming together. We have the force of distinguished alums who have recognized the power of higher education, and we also recognize an organization such as Pierce College that dedicates itself to doing everything we can to support those folks to help them achieve their educational goals. So it's really a great symbolic evening. Tonight you're going to meet 4 extraordinary individuals. They've transformed their lives and the lives of others. They have persevered and they've overcome odds, and they come out on the other side and realize the true power of higher education. Before we meet our alums tonight, I'd like to introduce a few special folks in the audience tonight. The Pierce College Foundation hosting this event is only made possible due to our volunteers who are Foundation board members. I'd like to ask our Foundation board members to stand as I call their names. First is Dan Bennett, the President of the Foundation Board. Marty Lobdell, the Vice President of the Foundation Board. Dave Hamry. There's Dave. Linda Evanson, and also her husband Jerry. And together, Linda's a board member, and Jerry's also a member of our Foundation's Campaign Steering Committee. Thank you. Christy Flynn. Glenn Zevenbergen. And we have a special emeritus board member here tonight, Don Thomas, who's also here with his wife Audrey. Not only is Don an emeritus Foundation board member, but Don and Audrey are honorary members of our Campaign Steering Committee. Thank you. For the second year in a row now, distinguished alums have come back to support the Pierce College Foundation and Pierce College by sponsoring this event. This year we have 3 interesting folks sponsoring this event who are so dedicated to this event that they chose to sponsor it, but they are just so sad that their calendars could not align and they could not be here tonight. But still, please help me honor the 3 sponsors of this event: Gil Holzman, a distinguished alum and a Foundation board member; Susie Russell Hall, a Foundation board member; and Dr. Tana Hassert, a distinguished alum and the president of the Pierce College Puyallup campus. Also in our audience tonight are 15 students, current Pierce College students. They're here tonight only because we have generous sponsors who provided the opportunity to have these students get a chance to peer into their future and possibly form a few mentors and get a chance to look to see how they might become members on this podium and receiving these awards in the future. Please help me thank Dave Hamry and his wife Barb for sponsoring students, Division Chair Judy DeJardin and her husband Bob, Division Chair Lori Griffin, Pierce College Foundation Federation of Teachers President and Faculty Member Beth Norman, Diane Downey, and Liz Scott. We want to especially welcome the students who are here tonight, and we hope that you find inspirational stories, and most importantly, we hope to see you up here on the stage in a few years. Pierce College is really lucky to have phenomenal leaders at the helm. Please help me recognize the Chancellor of the Pierce College District, Michelle Johnson. The President of the Fort Steilacoom campus, Denise Yoakum. And here with us in spirit tonight, the President of the Pierce College Puyallup, Dr. Tana Hassert. Now I'd like to recognize the college executive team. Could I ask the executive team members to please stand to be recognized? Thank you for being here tonight. And finally, I'd like to thank all of the faculty members who are here tonight. They truly make a difference in the lives of students every day. Can you please stand to be recognized? Make what we have to celebrate here happen every day in our campus and across Pierce College District. Now I'd like to call Dr. Michelle Johnson to the podium to tell you a little bit about the Pierce College District. Michelle's worked for Pierce College for over 30 years and is one of the largest donors to the Pierce College Foundation. She truly supports Pierce College in all that she does.
So much, Susie. It's so exciting to be here. I love this event. You know, as you're looking on the screen here, I don't know if you've been watching, but this photo montage are pictures of Pierce College. For our students, you may recognize some of the shots. And for our alum, you may just be shocked and surprised, because we have really grown, haven't we? It is amazing. I'd like to see all of you who are current students, if you would please stand, and then if all of our alum would please stand. One of the things about Pierce College is we call ourselves a learning community. And what that means is that we learn together. So all of you who have stood as our students, I want to thank you for your mark that you have made on Pierce College to make us who we are, because it is us together that makes this great place. So thank you for being here and celebrating tonight. Each year, Pierce College serves about 30,000 different individuals across our college. And we do that in a variety of sites. At our two colleges, here at Puyallup and at Fort Steilacoom, in our extended learning sites, at McCord and Fort Lewis, which is now joined, as well as McNeil Island Correction Center, Cedar Creek, Western State Hospital, Rainier School, South Hill Park, and a variety of sites across our district where each and every day a variety of students are learning. They may be here to learn to be able to transfer those first 2 years to the university, or they're here to get an immediate skill to go to work now. Or maybe they lack basic skills, or English is their second language, and they need those skills to be able to be fully supportive and involved in our community. Or maybe they're just a lifelong learner, and they want to be involved in continuing education. The kinds of programs that they're engaged in is anything from our award-winning music, to our dental hygiene, veterinary technology, our nursing programs. Maybe they're here because they want to be in business, or they also want to enjoy all of our student programs. You may have seen up there athletics, or the arts, whether that's theater or drawing. They come from so many places, and they do so many things. We're proud of the awards that we have won. We have award-winning programs at our library, picked as the #1 community college library in the nation. The outstanding military education program in the nation a couple of years ago, as well as our marketing area has gotten silvers and gold medals for the work that they do to let our students know that we're here for them. So whatever it is that we're doing, we are proud that you are part of this legacy of Pierce College. And as you're here on this campus, you may see that there's a new building going up, a new Arts and Allied Health building. And at Fort Steilacoom, I'm proud to say that 2 weeks ago we opened our new Science and Math building at Rainier, and it is a fabulous place. So tonight, you will hear the stories of our honorees. And I think that you will know by their stories the real sense of the possibilities that get created by Pierce College. And so please join me in honoring and welcoming our distinguished alum and all of you tonight for this great celebration. So thank you very much.
Let me say that it's a great honor to be part of this wonderful, inspiring evening. I'm happy to be here tonight. My name is Dan Bennett. I'm the current president of the Pierce College Foundation Board. And I've been part of this celebration for many years. It's always a pleasure to introduce such inspiring people who have done so much with their lives. And I myself am a Pierce College alum. I got my degree from Pierce in 1980, back in the day when it was Fort Stelicum. I know a few of us here remember that. And we were reminiscing about some of the professors that we had back then, and it was interesting to recall those memories. And I was honored as a Distinguished Alumni back in 2000. This evening we are joined by Dr. Stan Fleming, honored 2 years ago by the American Association of Community Colleges as one of the 5 outstanding alums in the nation. We're also joined by Jim Murphy, who is the Senior VP of the International Division of Costco. Marguerite Shannon, an early childhood education expert. And Dr. Rose Bailey, a dentist from Olympia. It's my pleasure to join the stage tonight with my co-host, Christy Flynn, a faculty member in the Pierce College Library. Christy and I have had the distinct pleasure of serving together on the Pierce College Foundation Board, and we've gotten to know each other through that opportunity of serving the foundation. And just to show you how dedicated Christy is, she's celebrating her birthday tonight and has made the decision to be here with us.
It is a pleasure for me, and I think I speak for all faculty here tonight, that this event is one of the favorites at Pierce College. The stories that we hear tonight have the power to inspire us. They are the stories of people like us who came to Pierce to realize the possibilities. And these distinguished alums continued on with their lives and come back tonight to tell us their story. And it's a story that can encourage all of us to further realize our new possibilities. So tonight, we have the great fortune to add 4 very deserving individuals to our list of distinguished alums. They are Dayton Murrah, Principal Service Engineer for Management Platforms and Service Delivery at Microsoft. Jody Woodcock, Deputy Director of Pierce County's Department of Emergency Management. Jonathan Harris, Program Manager of the United States Air Force Air Mobility Command Rodeo Competition and the Air Expo. And John Gibson, Managing Partner of the Metropolitan Apartments and founder of Cool Cycles Ice Cream.
Back up here again. So first, we have Dayton Murrah, and he is the Principal Service Engineer for Management Platforms and Service Delivery at Microsoft. To you and me, he's the one responsible for sending those Microsoft product updates to our computers and keeping our computers and his software safe from hackers. Except Dayton just doesn't care about our computers. He cares about computers worldwide. He sends patches and updates to make sure every piece of software Microsoft produces worldwide is up to date and virus-free. He crosses time zones and thinks in terms of global bandwidth. He consults with governments and federal agencies so that they understand his plan for upgrades and fixes. He talks with the FBI, the CIA, and Homeland Security on a regular basis. The machines he touches number in the millions. Dayton got his start in computers here at Pierce College, working in the computer lab at Pierce College Fort Stelicum. At the time, he only had a passing interest in computers. I think that changed. Mike Stokey, who worked with Dayton back then in the computer lab and is now at the Pierce College's Dean of Information Technology, said, it was evident right off the bat that he wasn't a normal student. But beyond technology, Mike observed that Dayton was never satisfied to just talk about technology. He wanted to learn from his mentors about how they lived their lives. He wanted to learn and model himself after those he admired. Mike said he is gifted technically and with people. He's the kind of technology leader everyone should model themselves after if they want to succeed and shape the IT world. Here's a brief video about Dayton.
I was 12 when I came from Jamaica. Well, I went to high school actually in Tacoma. From there I got an interest in computers. An opportunity came up to do some consulting work for a warehouser. A lot of questions they asked me in an interview were based on things that I've done at actually Pierce. I'm the engineering manager for Windows Update. Keeps millions of machines up to date with latest security fixes. We manage that infrastructure and run that infrastructure globally. When this opportunity came up for Pierce College kind of computer lab, I was still actually in high school. And then I started working actually in the computer lab. I remember the first time they asked me, hey, what languages do you know? I said German. When I first went to Paris, I believe it was a computer science program. It prepared me for my career, but like giving me some examples of, okay, here are some career paths that you could choose. You might not want to go programming, you don't have to do programming, you might do networking. I think a lot of folks are in my same position that they're not quite sure what career field they want to go in. Pierce kind of, it helped me quench that thirst, right? I know there's a lot of pressures like, hey, you want to go to this big top-notch school, and it doesn't mean you can't do community college and get there. The community college, you could still have that same roadmap, the exact same curriculum, better focused classrooms, I think, more access to teachers. I think you really have to really consider a community college when you think about that. I think it's the best of both worlds to me. Hello, everyone. I am excited to be here. I'm honored that I got nominated for this. Thank you all for being here. Special thank you to Mike Stocky that nominated me. I'm so grateful for the opportunity that I got at Pierce. So grateful. I mean, beyond words could even express. Pierce, first of all, had good people, period. End of story. And those people did nothing more than give me an opportunity, opened the door for me. That's it. They didn't have to do it, they just did it. And with that opportunity, I looked at examples of how they were living their lives, and I said, you know what? These are people with integrity, these are people that I trust, everywhere from faculty and staff. I had a unique experience. I actually started at Pierce not as a student first, I started as an employee first, in high school. After I graduated that summer, I started as a student, as an employee, and started working in computer labs. Like I said, one of my first interview questions that I still am mad at that I blew to this day. What languages do you know? And I said German, right? I'm still mad at that, but I still don't know everything in computers. There's still so much to learn, and I'm humbled every day on the vast amount of knowledge that's out there, and I'm still, learning. It's a continual learning game, and that really got instilled in me from Mike Stocky, Mike Holscher, Marion Mundy, Nancy. Matter of fact, Nancy was meeting my parents today, and she said, yeah, I'm the one that always told them what to do. And Mike Stocky was the one that always tried to figure out the problems. I learned a bunch of troubleshooting technique, overall just technology. Mike Holscher was the one that was strategic. He planned out the roadmap for technology adoption. And I learned all this at an early age. And then, you know, I started to put it together. I started getting it. And I just became obsessed with the opportunity that the Pierce College provided me. And then after I left Pierce, I went on to the University of Miami, and I actually took that same template. First showed up on campus, got a job in the computer lab. Yeah. and then from there, went to running all the computer labs. And then upon graduation, I got this call from Mike Stockey. Actually, I wasn't even graduated yet. It was just about that time, and I was going to take a vacation, winter break, and Mike Stockey told me, hey, come on up. You know, if you're visiting your mom, my mom lived in Seattle, come on up. And there's jobs at the Weyerhaeuser, I believe, at the time. He said, they're hiring contractors. I had no idea what a contractor was. You know, so okay, I'll go give it a shot. The first interview questions, they interviewed me on a Friday, and they asked me a series of questions that were so simple because I did the exact same thing at Pierce. It was so easy. You know, I was like, you got to be kidding, right? And so I got a job offer in Miami. I turned that job down and came back to Seattle, started working, spent 5 years at Weyerhaeuser working. They hired me after a couple months of being a contractor. And from there, I went on to Nordstrom, the same template. And then while I was there, I had a difficult choice. Microsoft called, and, you know, I thought, all my friends said, well, you know, you could work at Nordstrom, and people know Nordstrom as a great company, you know, retail. But if you really want to be in technology, you have to work with a technology company. And so I thought about it for a long time, and then took the opportunity. And when I went there, I thought I knew something. I absolutely didn't know anything. So I had to relearn all of that, and I'm still learning to this day. You know, the job that I have right now, I take very seriously. Like I said, any computer that's a Windows-based computer connected to the internet, we're responsible for the infrastructure that updates those machines, and for a variety of software glitches, patches, you name it. And this globally connected world, I mean, I could go in any company. I feel like Pierce gave me a template that I could take to any company, whether it's Microsoft, Google, Apple. It just happened. I'm just a technology fanatic, and still am to this day. I told Mike I'd come back and work for him for free. Yeah. My wife probably wouldn't like that. You know, now I have children I have to support, but you know, I'd volunteer any amount of time to come back to Pierce and talk to students and do whatever I needed, because they provided me with an awesome, awesome opportunity. Young kid from Jamaica showed up, and, you know, I know what hardware looks like. I know what poverty looks like. You know, my mom got me in my first job, and it was hard, and it was a lot of labor. And I told myself right then, I gotta get an education. Nothing's gonna stop me from getting an education. And Pierce opened the door for me. So I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful for Mike, Holscher, Mike Stockey, Nancy, the staff, faculty. I still remember economics class to this day. I tell my wife all the time. I think it was Tom Phelps at that economics class. He said, you know, taught me opportunity cost, and I still take that. And, you know, I think I bring it up almost every day when she tells me to debate about two things. I said, well, what's opportunity cost? You know, so I still remember a lot of people. Brian Benedetti, that was around. I still have a photo he took of me back then. You know, I'm connected in a lot of ways to a lot of people in this room, and I just want to say, from my family, thank you.
Was struck with tragedy as 4 Lakewood police officers were killed in the line of duty. And as the community mourned, Jody Woodcock took action. From her command post at the Pierce County Department of Emergency Management, she helped coordinate the largest memorial service in Washington state history. Sadly, when Deputy Kent Mendel was killed shortly after, Jody stepped into action again. Her skills in tracking important details, aligning people, resources, and the media, all throughout emotionally trying times, led her to the recent promotion to Deputy Director of the county's Emergency Management Department. Jody now stands ready to prepare her department for whatever disaster may strike our community. Her qualifications for this job are astounding. So here is a sample of the tools in her toolbox. She was one of the first in the country to create a continuity of operations emergency plan for all county departments. I don't know what that means, but maybe we can meet her in the hallway and she can explain it to us. And that's not all I don't understand. She implemented a Homeland Security training in Pierce County to respond to chemical, biological, and nuclear attacks. She expanded a national program that helped train 450 neighborhoods and 7,000 individuals in emergency preparedness and response. She completed the first approved hazard mitigation plan in the nation for a local fire district. Jody even produced natural hazard shows for the Travel Channel, the History Channel, National Geographic, and the Weather Channel. That's the other one I'm really curious about. To no surprise, Jody is trained to fill any functional area within the county's incident command system. So, I think we all feel a little better knowing that Jody is looking out for us. So here's a brief video about Jody.
I'm a local girl. I was born in Olympia and I've lived in Yelm all my life. I just always loved writing. I knew I wanted to get into journalism. I loved politics. I was so excited to enter the college world, and Pierce was the perfect place to do it. It laid the groundwork for me to seamlessly go right into Pacific Lutheran University. Every credit transferred, it was absolutely seamless. I started as a communications intern with Pierce County, and 20 years later, I'm still here. My job in Pierce County Emergency Management is as Deputy Director. So really what I do is I'm in charge of the day-to-day operations of this whole department.
We are telling them to evacuate.
Swiftwater rescues going on. We have sandbagging operations. One of my priorities is to really make sure that those cities are taken care of, and of course the citizens of this county.
So when the calls go out, businesses are closing, they're going to be called.
Being able to make a difference in one person's life in this county just means the world to me. We send teams of from 35 to 70 people go out to work events like 9/11, like Hurricane Katrina. My experience at Pierce really laid the groundwork for the wonderful career I've enjoyed. You know, where are the helicopters going to be? What frequency are they going to use to communicate? Being exposed to such a broad range of topics to study, such a diverse group of instructors who had just such passion, that really inspires you as a student. All these details, it's really important for us to be up to speed on. The way I learn most effectively is smaller classrooms. I need to interact with people. I need to talk to my classmates. I need to talk to my instructors. When I talk to people about going to college, seeking an education, I always recommend community college, and actually Pierce specifically. For me, it was the best possible thing to do, so I just can't imagine doing it differently. Kind of stuff is still so hard to watch. You know, when the film crew showed up at work to do that, I was so excited. I thought, can we talk about earthquakes now? I've got some new information on volcanoes I'd really like to share with you, and Brian wouldn't let me. He's kind of mean that way. So I really want to thank the Pierce College Foundation for this very special night of celebration, and I am so honored and so humbled by my fellow honorees. Their stories are so inspiring to me, and I know they're going to be inspiring to current students, to future students. It's just awesome, and it frankly makes me wonder what the heck I'm doing here. When I think back, you know, I got to reminiscing a little bit about my days at Pierce College, and I was thinking about my very first day. It was a beautiful sunny day, and I was so eager to meet my classmates in this honors program and my instructors, and I was dragging my 75 pounds of books to class, and of course I go to get out of my car, and the first thing I do is I hit my shin on the door of my car, and I thought, okay, great start to the day. Ignored the slight discomfort, but headed up the grand staircase at the Fort Steilacoom campus, and people started to look at me a little strangely. They looked concerned. I thought, what's going on? And finally someone said, are you okay? I said, sure, great, never been better. And I looked down, and my pant leg had this huge blood stain on it. What an impression I made my first day of school. Pierce College really provided me with such a great foundation as to what has become really a lifetime desire for learning. You know, it started with, I think a lot of us remember Heath Cobb in political science, and I remember Moses P. Lai. He made meteorology fun, and he always introduced himself as Moses P. Lai. The journalism courses were excellent, and I loved working on the school paper. Still an award-winning newspaper, I'm happy to hear. I even did an environmental analysis of a lake that was near my home, and I will never swim in it again. At one point, I almost changed my major from journalism to physical anthropology. I was ready to turn in the pad and pencil and head off to the desert to dig up bones. The point I'm trying to make is that Pierce College put opportunity all around me. You know, I always considered myself as being kind of like the character Forrest Gump. I always kind of stumbled onto great things. But as I reflected a little bit to analyze that a little further, because I can't be like Forrest Gump, I realized that Pierce College put me on a path. It led to getting my bachelor's degree at Pacific Lutheran University, and most recently my master's degree from the Naval Postgraduate School. It led to my career with Pierce County, and ultimately to what I consider my true calling, and that's emergency management. I thought it was great when Ruth Ann said, well, we have some journalism students that are going to sit at your table. And we were already chatting, and I informed her she is an emergency manager, she just doesn't know it yet. Now I'd like to take an opportunity to introduce some people that are really important to me that came tonight, and they threatened to embarrass me, and I like to embarrass them right back. First is Marcy Scott, my friend and colleague. It's an honor to work with you every day, and I'm so happy you're here. My boss and mentor, Steve Bailey. What I didn't learn from family or school, I learned from that man right over there. You know, he really taught me what public service was all about, and then if you focus on the people, you cannot go wrong. Brittany Minker is my niece and fellow emergency manager, and I'm probably going to be working for her sooner rather than later. My sister, Danny, what girl doesn't want to be like her big sister? I'm no exception. She's a truly exquisite person. My parents, Jerry and Diane, what a tremendous source of strength, inspiration, and encouragement. You know, to this day, they've never missed an event, whether it was basketball or working full-time, and they never missed a thing. And my grandparents, Jack and Mary Bell Rice, their house was always a place to learn, oftentimes whether I liked it or not. As much as I highly recommend Pierce College, there's nothing I can recommend more than sitting down with your grandparents and learning from them. And for my grandfather with 95 years on this earth, I think there are few who know more than my grandfather. No offense to any academics in the room, but this man knows it all. And finally, my husband, Don, who has supported this often crazy career and new educational adventures without question. Without him, my successes wouldn't even matter. You know, when I met with the group that came out that produced the video clip you just watched, there was one question that just kind of stuck with me, and they asked me what I would recommend to prospective students. thinking about college, and I think I shocked them because my reaction was so instant, and I just said, well, they can't think about it, they just need to do it. And then I thought, well, why did I say that so quickly? And I realized the instructors at Pierce College not only taught me, they taught me to think. And that's what creates opportunity. And I think there's a Chinese proverb that really captures it best, that teachers open the door, but you must enter by yourself. Thank you once again for this wonderful night, and congratulations to all my fellow distinguished alumni. It's a pleasure to be in your company. Thank you.
It is my distinct pleasure to bring you our next distinguished alumni, Jonathan Harris. Jonathan used his education at Pierce College to become a leader in his profession and community. He earned an Associate of Arts in 1979 and an Associate in Industrial Relations in 1987. Jonathan joined the Air Force right out of high school and served in active duty for 8 years. He then continued to serve his country in the Air Force Reserves. He attained the rank of Chief Master Sergeant and then Chief of Chiefs. To give you an idea of how unique and amazing that is, there are only 8 Chief of Chiefs nationwide. I think that deserves. Jonathan became involved in the Steilacoom schools as a parent and then as a school board member for 2 years. I'm sorry, for 12 years. He served on the Washington State Board of Education for 2 years. His interest in school sports led him to become the Assistant Director for Boys and Girls State Basketball Championship Tournament for 11 years. Jonathan is truly a born leader and organizer. Perhaps his biggest professional accomplishment has been as the program manager for the Air Mobility Command Rodeo Competition and the Air Expo. He has led the coordination and planning of these international events, resulting in too many awards, accolades, and accomplishments to count. He, Jonathan, led the largest air show in McChord Air Force Base history with over 375,000 in attendance. These events build camaraderie for the participants and open the military to the public to see the skills and talent of our military personnel. They have even a more tangible impact because of the training received during the rodeo mobility competition that Jonathan had organized. The Pakistani Air Force executed their first ever drop mission to deliver aid to its citizens. What this meant is that the U.S. Air Force did not have to perform that mission. Jonathan was nominated by Foundation Board member Linda Evanson, who says, Jonathan exemplifies the kind of person that any college would want to call an alumnus. He has been a lifelong servant of not only our nation, but the citizens of Steilacoom and the children of Washington State. Pierce College played an important role in Jonathan becoming an outstanding citizen and soldier. He has honored Pierce College by his accomplishments, and here's a brief video of Jonathan.
C-141B. This was the first airplane that came to McChord. It is an airplane that I worked on years ago. I'm the Deputy Director for AMC's International Airlift Rodeo, which is an international airlift competition.
Let's go.
We have C-130s, C-17s, C-5s, KC-10s, C-21s, and T-1s. We are planning now for 2011. On the even years, I'm the Deputy Director for the Air Expo. 20,000 rivets flying in close formation is what they used to say. I worked on some of those in my early days. I had a boss, Art Morrison was his name, that said we needed to be more aggressive as far as promotions are concerned, and all of us were pretty smart, but we need to have at least an associate's degree. Flying Lizard. First one I saw was in Guam, 1966. After having been out of school for 15 years, I enrolled in Woodstolicum, and my first class was English 101. And I went, what the heck am I doing? I had a purpose when I went back this time, you know. I knew I needed to have the 2 degrees. I wanted to walk. 141 is the plane that brought all of our POWs back from Vietnam. We have a great community college, especially because Pierce is so close to Stoughton. The instructors gave you the continued emphasis to get done, you know, and pushed us. But pushed us in a different kind of way. Standing before people and talking wasn't me. And I went to a speech class. And they took the time with those of us that were shy. We all had to speak. And there they gave you all of the tools that you needed to do that. The way our economy is nowadays, you really need education. Most of us in that class were, with few exceptions, we're just military guys. And we could look at all the younger students around who didn't understand what was going on and say, hey, you know, you need to get this, okay? You don't want to wait until you're our age to come back to do this. Good evening. Wow. Thanks, Dan. Foundation members, Dr. Johnson, and faculty, I really appreciate this honor. Fellow distinguished alumni, it's an honor and a privilege to be included in this group with all of you. I thought that I would be here tonight and just with my friends, and there's a lot of friends. A lot of people I haven't seen in a long time. I'm going to introduce a couple people that helped me get my job done, a few of them, because you don't do this by yourself. Martha, Dale, Christian, Walt, and Grace, Judy, Barb, thanks for your support and friendship. And Dale, we need to play some golf. LaDonna is the one with the camera. She's our girl Friday. She and Mr. T, who's a superintendent that Jody knows because we helped you with stacking the cars at the base. Without them, I wouldn't be able to do my job. And we have Colleen Joseph and Mary Moss. They work for Harborstone Credit Union, but they're also involved with Pierce Military Business Alliance and Harborstone. And they give over $100,000 a year to our troops. At Fort Lewis, McCord, Ward, yeah. And without the support, you don't get the programs done. But those of you here know that. I mean, we're talking about a foundation. You have to have support. And so you need to have those other people from the community to help you, and they do a great job. Sandy Stevens and our classmates at Fort Stoughton. In the early 70s, middle 70s, yeah. And she and her husband were going to buy a house. And she said, we live in this really nice duplex. And she said, you ought to come down and look at it. So I went down and looked at it. Jory and Linda were the next door neighbors. And they've been friends for 32 years. I really appreciate that. There's some other people I looked around. I was on Stoughton School Board for 12 years. Tanner Hassett and I were on the board together for about 4. I see Mike Starkey. We were in the reserves together. Jody and I was the superintendent. They have a reserve position in FEMA, and I was the superintendent at Pierce years and years ago. So I finished high school in Virginia, 1961. 5 days later, I joined the Air Force. Worked on B-52s and 135s, and my first tour of combat was 8 winters in South Dakota. That's right. It was cold. So I got out of the Air Force, and I came to Everett to work for Boeing in August of '69. January of 1970, they put the sign up that says last one out, turn the lights off, and I got laid off. I came to McCord and joined the reserves, and got a civilian job. And as the video said, my boss said, you have to think about education, because you increase your education, you get promoted. And I was married at the time with 4 kids, and $475, I think, is what the GI Bill was for Vietnam veteran. Man, that sounded pretty good, you know. So, like it said, I went and I figured, okay, I'll just sign up for a bunch of stuff. English should be good. Wrong. So I did the English and all that other stuff, but I was bored, and I said I wanted to do something else, and I talked to the counselor, and she said, why don't you try industrial relations? I went, what is industrial relations? Well, it's kind of like unions and labor relations. And met my favorite instructor, Ray Egan. And Ray and Les Price. And I took every class they had, everything. I couldn't get enough of it, and so then I became a union steward and vice president of the union, you know, and threatened one of the big bosses with an unfair labor practice, because Ray said, if you're right, you can do it. I told my boss, I said, if this doesn't work, you need to hire me. But I got promoted to shift foreman, and the guy said the reason I got promoted to shift foreman is because they wanted to shut the union guy up. So then I was management. It's the way it works, you know. I blame Jerry Evanson for getting me involved with volunteerism in Steilacoom, because I live next door. So he comes over and he says, Harris, need some help. I said, okay. So we can do the salmon bake. I said, okay. So we do the salmon bake. Then he comes by and say, Harris, need some help. I said, okay. He said, we got town cleanup. I said, fine, no sweat. Well, you know, what that does is it puts you on a list. So now everybody calls. I'm a single guy, I got nothing else to do, right? Then he comes and he said, you did that pretty good, you know. So he says, I need you to help me with school board. I'm going, salmon bake, clean up, school board. Okay. But we did school board for, I think we did it for 8 years. I was on it for 12. One of the lessons I learned while working with Ray Egan and Les and the other teachers and instructors at Fort Steilacoom is negotiations, and make sure you treat everybody fair. And we tried doing that. Now, there is a difference between a work stoppage and a strike, okay? In a work stoppage, they just don't come and you stop what you're doing. In a strike, you continue what you're doing, and if they don't show up, you hire replacements. The last teacher strike in the state of Washington was in 1986, and we held school for 8 days. 8 great days. We had replacement teachers, and we had 1,200 of the 1,400 students come to school, which told us, the community said, you're doing it right. We settled the strike. We offered them what we thought was the best we could do in the beginning, and that's what they got in the end. Now, in the meantime, you know, you had to deal with all these people. You know, and Ray had given me these instructions that I passed on to the board. You know, there's some things that are going to happen. And sure enough, they did. They picketed our houses, they picketed our jobs, not mine, because I got a gate. You know, can't get on the base. They picketed everybody else's though, and like he said, you know, they're going to say nice things about you on TV and in the paper and the placards, and they did. But we got through it, and I think as a school district and community, we were better off for it. Being a volunteer in the community is very important, and some of my background from Fort Steilacoom led me to that, along with Jerry and some other people. If you live in a small town, you have to take care of them. And kids, you have to take care of the kids, okay? If you don't take care of the kids, they won't take care of you in the neighborhood. If you take care of them, they'll take care of you. My career, because of a lot of you, is past anything I ever thought of. And I retired in 2003. From civil service. And I retired from the reserves in '95. And then they called and asked me if I wanted to come back and do the rodeo thing. They said, you know how to do that and you get along with people. And my stepsons asked me what I do at work, and I said, I just direct traffic. It's just, you know. And one of the young ladies at work calls me Rolodex, because I kind of know some of everybody. And it just has to do with being seasoned, because we don't get old. Okay? We're seasoned. And I've been here for a long time. you know. One of the corrections I need to make is I am a retired chief, and I was the senior enlisted advisor to the wing commander at McCord. But there are more than 8 of those senior enlisted advisors around. But it's less than 1% of the enlisted force makes chief. So I still felt pretty good. It took me 27 years to do it, but I was happy with that. I thank all of you for this great opportunity to share my small story with you. I'm just a guy trying to make a living, and it turned out pretty good. And I thank the Evansons for nominating. Thank you.
I was getting so involved I forgot I was still working. Thank you, Jonathan. Our final distinguished alum of the evening is the kind of businessman who puts both his customers and his community first. And it's a strategy that leads to great success. John Gibson had a vision for life. After serving in the Vietnam War and earning a Bronze Star, John came home and went to work as a television repairman. But he wanted more. Thanks to the GI Bill, John began taking business classes at Pierce College, Fort Silicon, and quickly began to apply what he learned. He started cleaning pools at a local apartment complex and soon worked his way up to manager. And that was just the beginning. Today, John is one of the most successful businessmen in Tacoma. In addition to real estate projects that include ownership of the upscale metropolitan apartments, John is committed to giving back to the community. His latest entrepreneurial adventure with his business partner, Joel Semenko, is Cool Cycles, a mobile ice cream company. This futuristic company takes Honda motorcycles and outfits them with custom-designed sidecars filled with ice cream and carries them to local neighborhoods throughout the region. In classic John Gibson fashion, John will be donating his portion of the profits to children in Africa. John also donates time as Santa Claus for the Tacoma Rescue Mission and other agencies. He is widely loved for his kind, generous spirit. Washington State Auditor Brian Sontag has known John for 25 years. Brian agrees. He's a great guy. He is absolutely legit on everything he does. I don't know anybody whose word is better than his. And in John's own words, he's been known to say, if you go overboard to make people feel special, they remember that. And I love to make people feel special. Here is a brief video about John.
I come from a family of 9 kids. I got drafted 8 months out of high school from the beaches of San Diego and sent up to Fort Lewis. So I've been in the apartment business for probably 35 years. Down here we have a business center for our residents. I said, okay, I want to be a businessman. So my wife and I came back up here and I went to Pierce College. The next door over we have our own in-house massage therapist. This is open 24 hours a day and people absolutely love it. I remember my first day there. Walked into this little bungalow, I'd call it. Much to my fear, when I walked in, the chairs were all in a circle. This is a special putting green. I couldn't even hide at the back of the room. And went in there and sat down, and I was convinced I was the dumbest person in the whole class. Absolutely thought that. And but I was going to learn to be a businessman. I just love the program Dancing with the Stars. So we have our own dance studio. It's a lifestyle that we've created here. I've actually taken dance lessons too. I went from being the dumbest person in the whole class to, if nobody else could answer a question, he'd say, Gibson, tell him the answer. And I always knew the answer. And that's because I just loved business. I loved what they were teaching me. So this room at about 5 o'clock today will have over 100 people in it. It gave me the basics of the business world. It gave me what I call my foundation. That foundation, I think, is very, very important. Yeah, we have treats for the pets too. I hope people can realize when they go there, whether it's the instructors or the students, how how special that time can be and how important it can be to their happiness in life. I had no idea it would lead to what I'm fortunate enough to do today, but it did, and I'll give it all the credit.
Thank you. Thank you for this. Oops. Thank you for this honor. I'm not sure I should be up here. I guess everybody says that, but I'm just honored. And you know, it's been so much fun for me because I've had to go back. Once I found out I was going to receive this honor, I had to go back for the last 38 years and kind of relive my life. And I've been accused of having a smile on my face all the time, and I know why. I went back and looked at my life, and I thought, wow, that's just incredible. And so what I want to do is I want to, first of all, I got another story to tell you that's really fun. So I get here tonight, and I look over, and I see a gentleman that I knew when I was cleaning swimming pools back when I first went to Pierce College. And I remember this gentleman because there was something just very calming and very sophisticated about him. And we used to play racquetball together, and I had a job cleaning swimming pools and checking out racquetballs at this apartment community. And believe it or not, that person is Jonathan Harris. Who would have thought 38 years later that we're going to be on stage together? So, and when I relive this 38 years, I want the students here to know that in my case, you don't have to be the smartest guy in the room. You just don't to do good things in this world. And I'm going to prove that. I bet there's nobody in this room that flunked third grade. I did. How do you flunk third grade? You know? When I was in fourth grade, I actually went to a school and got put in this little room, and a guy came in with a white coat. And I thought, they think I'm nuts. They think I'm nuts. And sure enough, there's this block of wood there, and it has square pegs and round pegs. And the doctor said, Johnny, can you put the square pegs in the square holes, the round pegs in the round holes? I thought, they think I'm nuts. They think I'm nuts. And that had a real effect on me because I wanted to prove to the world that I wasn't nuts. The things that I weren't interested in, I didn't do very well at. So all throughout grade school and high school, you know, a D was a great grade because it meant I didn't fail. I'm serious about this stuff. Yeah. Then 8 months out of high school, I get this letter, greetings from the president. I get drafted. I was a good kid. Why should I go fight a war? Why should I kill people that I don't know? You know, I'm not cut out to be a warrior. So sent up to Fort Lewis. A few months after, and I just got used to the rain up here because I came from San Diego. And a few months later, you know, I get this, I'm going to Vietnam. Vietnam, well, that's a scary place. So I've got 2 words to say about Vietnam, and that is, it was scary and the pay was terrible. I remember, terrible pay, you know. As an E5, and Jonathan probably remembers this, I made, I think, about $250 a month or some crazy amount like that. Came back from Vietnam and got a job, got my dream job as a TV repairman. That's what I wanted to be. I was cut out, and the reason I say that's what I was cut out to be, because in high school I did get the Bank of America Achievement Award in Trades and Industrial Arts. So when it came to industrial arts, there was nobody better than me. So I wasn't really cut out to go to school and in college. And the reason being is that I was a terrible reader. And so I had this fear constantly in class that what happens if an instructor calls on me and I have to read out loud? And so my cover would be blown in. All of a sudden people would know that I'm not very smart, because in those days if you couldn't read very well, you didn't have a learning disability, you were just a dummy. I didn't want people to know that. So, the job as a TV repairman, the owner really changed my life because he did two things for me. Number one, he forced me to take these courses, these success motivation courses, the Earl Nightingale, kind of like the Tony Robbins courses now, and the You Are What You Think You Are. So, man, he just really motivated me. And the second thing that motivated me was, I call it greed, things. This gentleman had he had a Cadillac, he had a Jaguar, he had a 75-foot Chris Craft, and he had a beautiful blonde wife. Now, of those four things, the toughest thing is the beautiful blonde wife. I had the beautiful blonde wife. So, and I still have the beautiful blonde wife. And so I thought, you know, how can I have these things? Oh, he's a businessman. I need to be a businessman. But then the thought went through my head of, wait, you can't be a businessman, because what if you go to community college and they call on you and you can't read? So I remember my first day at Fort Steilacoom in this little bungalow, and I remember standing out and the door was closed, and I remember thinking, am I really going to do this? I can back out. I just don't have to go through that door. I go through the door, and like it said, everything's lined up in a circle. I can't even hide at the back of the room. But then something great happened, and that was a gentleman, and realize I'm going back 38 years, so some of my instructors I just don't remember, but the one that really helped me in life was a gentleman by the name of Ed Hagenow. Is there anybody in the room that remembers Ed Hagenow? Wonderful. And if you remember Ed, what was so good about Ed was he talked loud, he talked confident, and he was one of these guys, you just didn't mess around with him. If you were in his class, you were there to learn, and if you were going to go to sleep, you're not going to be in that class, because there were a few students that went to sleep, and that didn't work. And so, you know, I remember my first class is Business 101, you know, marketing, salesmanship, business law, you know, what are the 5 things you need to have a contract, and you know, what are the basics of business. And I just ate that stuff up, is the only way to put it. And one of the reasons that I did really well was because Mr. Hagenow, I think he saw something in me that I didn't even see. I think I probably showed the enthusiasm that I had for business, and so he just kind of took me under his wing and made me feel real special and real confident. So Pierce College has done a lot for me. You know, I've been able to enter the business world. I think I own 8 different businesses. I've enjoyed the heck out of the business world. But what I think is kind of unique is that my goals have changed. And I'm proud of this, because when I first wanted to be a businessman, remember, it was for material things. And I hope most of you know that material things doesn't buy you happiness at all. It just doesn't. There's no inner feeling that stays with you that, you know, I always tell myself when I die someday, what am I going to remember? Am I going to remember a Ferrari or a, you know, huge house? Or am I going to remember the little things that I did for people that were little acts of kindness? And that's what I'm going to remember. And so when I look at the, you know, next 20 years in the future, I get an even bigger smile on my face, because I get to do, I'm going to do things that I never thought I could do. You know, my project with Cool Cycles and Kids in Africa, you know, for me to even have the confidence that I can do what I want to do. Basically, I want to sell ice cream bars all over this country, and every time a little boy or little girl buys an ice cream bar, they don't know it, but a nickel of that profit from that ice cream bar will be transferred from that little boy or little girl to a little boy or little girl in Africa, and to help them, you know, with the basics. And the exciting thing for me is that, can you imagine how far a nickel goes in Africa and all the good that you can do with those things? So, so when I look in the future, I'm very excited. I'll always have this smile on my face, and I always look back at Pierce College for giving me that foundation. So I just completed a high-rise apartment building. It's 11 stories. It's a $20 million project. And when you look at the footings for that building, there are these huge concrete footings with all this steel in them. And that's the base of that building. And so I like to look at Pierce College that they gave me the base of what I needed to be a businessman. And even though this sounds bad, I didn't come to Pierce College to get a degree. I came for the knowledge of how to be a businessman. And I got it. And thank you all very, very much.
And thank you all for being here to help enjoy this moment. And for those distinguished alums, thank you for continuing the spirit of Pierce College and all that you do.